folks, and welcome back to Four Corners of the Galley. I'm your host PBO, and you're joining me on Westworld. What the bleep? And we moved on to Season 2, Episode 1, Journey into Night. And this is your weekly recap. So, let's kick this sucker right off. Let's start with a little Season 1 recap, just kind of how everything ended. So basically, Season 1 ends. Dolores kills Ford at this party that's happening in Westworld where everyone's at. The Men in Black's there. You got Charlotte from Delios, the corporate's there. You have everyone's gathered, and Ford's making an announcement because he's got his big narrative. He ends up getting shot in the back of the head by Dolores, and now the robots are running wild and crazy. So we leave them there. Also, we have Maeve. She is gone free inside of Delios' corporation. We're inside of Westworld's back area and is running wild with Hector and his band of assassins, and they're taking out people one by one, and she has a chance to leave, and she ends up not leaving and coming back because of her daughter. So you got that. The Men in Black's at the party. He gets shot, and you don't know what really happened to him. It's only through the arm. And yeah, we kind of got reset. Oh, and Bernard's at the party too, and he, you don't really know what's going on with there. So let's kick this thing off. So the show opens up, and it opens on a flashback. Of course. Why would we start on a regular timeline? So we start on a flashback, and they kind of tease you, and they make you think it's Bernard, but we should all know at this point now, because we're Season 1 watchers, that this is Arnold. He's in all black, and he's having a conversation with Dolores. This is pre his death and pre the park opening. So him and Dolores having a conversation, and they're discussing basically he's discussing with her how he can't believe how aware she is and how much she understands, and he can't understand all these different things, and he's telling her about his dream, which is basically foreshadowing the episode that he's alone washed on a shore, and he's like, I'm so intrigued by the person you are, but I'm scared of what you're going to become, and he's really foreshadowing what this season is, things are going to happen, and boom, we're going to kick right off into Season 2. So, before we kick off into what Season 2 is, before, right after that flashback and when it really gets to its thing, let's play a little game I got called Human or Robot. Alright, folks, let's play Human or Robot. This little game will kind of help you, give you a refresher course. So, let's start with an easy one. We got Maeve. Yep, she's a robot. And then we got Lonzo. Might not see him soon, but we'll see him later. Yep, he's a robot. And then we got Teddy. Yep, he's a robot. And of course, host number 1, Dolores. Yep, she's a robot. And then we got a couple people like Logan. Nope, he's human. And also Charlotte. Nope, she's human. But maybe in case you didn't remember, we also got young Ford. He's definitely a robot. And then the one that really is going to matter this year, Bernard. He's a robot. Alright, there you go, folks. Human or robot. Alright, guys, so now that you got your little human or robot in, let's start it off. So we start off the show, and the show starts off with Bernard being washed up on the shore. And you have no idea what's going on. Bernard looks distraught. A group of mercenaries find him on the beach. They're about to do some damage to him, and out of nowhere comes security officer Stubbs, and Stubbs goes, whoa, 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 don't do that. You're going to hit the boss. And they're like, he's all distraught, and he remembers Bernard. He picks him up. So they think Bernard is a human, and this is the beauty of Season 2. In Season 1, we were the outsiders looking in, lost by what was going on in Westworld. And this year, I felt like we're the insiders kind of knowing what's happening inside of Westworld, and the people of Delios and other ones are confused as heck on what's going on. And one of the biggest things and the biggest themes of this episode is Bernard is a robot that we all know, but no one else knows, because the ones that did know about it, like Maeve she's in somewhere else. Dolores is on her own little mission we'll get to. Ford is dead and Therese is dead, so no one knows. So they take Bernard and they take him in a dune buggy, and they're kind of showing the beach and everything. And we meet up this guy, and he's kind of yelling with some army guys, and he basically tells him to get off his island. And bang, there you go, folks. We just found out that Westworld is on an island. So there you go. Michael Crichton, the writer of this lovely story, he loves his islands, Jurassic Park, Westworld. So, and he likes to write islands. So there you go. So we're on an island. This whole entire giant park is on an island. And we also find out there's more than just one park, which we'll get to later. So we meet Carl Strand. Carl Strand is the head of operations. And he tells us he's there because basically mostly all of the board was in Westworld when the big incident happened. The other thing that we learned is it's been 2 weeks. So Bernard washes up on shore and it's 2 weeks from the incident. So this is the current timeline we're on, and this is the current path that we'll be going forward on the season. So this is the most up-to-date timeline, which is Bernard, these group of mercenaries, and the Devil's, people, the corporation. We also meet the other gentleman, Mr. Costa, who's kind of like their technician, and he starts doing some field work, and we see him remove basically the brain or memory and operating system from one of the hosts. When they scalp the Indian, of course, underneath is the maze. What fun in that is the maze underneath, and they're like, what's that? No idea. They have no idea what that is. He pulls out the memory bank. They go to see it, and lo and behold, who goes and kills this host but none other than Dolores. And that just kicks off into a whole nother tailspin of fun. So that gives us the beginning. And without that, let's give you a little timeline where everybody's at. So let's kick it over to the timeline. All right, folks, this is my fun little timeline I made for you guys. So check it out right here. So we got the starting point, which is basically the Westworld Season 1 Party Night ending scene. So that's like the main timeline. So you got this direct line to when Bernard washes up on shore. But then you have these subdivisions of the timeline. So first, we got Bernard and Charlotte on the run. We'll get to that in a little bit. Then, we got the Men in Black Survives Massacre Night. Got that going on too. Then we got Maeve, Hector, and Lee. And we also have Dolores, and Teddy timeline. And they all going to end up at the end part of this episode where everything ends. So I'm going to show you how kind of where everybody's at and where everybody's positioned. But this kind of like a little graph to give you a good idea on where everybody's at. So there is our little timeline video for episode 1. Alright guys, so let's start you off with the Maeve and Lee and Hector the Killer timeline. So we catch up with Maeve leaving Hector. Well, we catch up with Lee at first, and it's the night of the incident, and everyone's going crazy. We're inside of Westworld's back area where all the corporate is and controls the park and the map, and Lee, the guy head writer, he's getting attacked by a host, and he's trying to call it all, cease motor function, stop, he's trying to cause all these things, and this crazy host that he's been working on is not listening, it's coming after him, and he's trying to attack him, and right before he's about to kill him, out of nowhere, Maeve comes out and stops his motor function. Oh, Lee freaks out. He's so excited. Then he can't believe who just rescued him because now it's Maeve, and he can't believe it's Maeve, another host. He tries to tell her to stop motor function, and she's like, no, I'm sorry, darling. I'm way above you now, which is just amazing by what she does. So now you got Maeve and Lee meeting up, and Lee realizes that she is the woman in power at this moment and kind of like tries to assist her and try to help her look for information. So she wants to find the map, and he goes, look, whatever map you have, it doesn't work because, Dr. Ford's been changing everything, so let me take you to the map room. So they take a stroll into the map room. Map room's a mess, bodies all over the place, things pandemonium. Map doesn't work. She's like, look, the map don't work. You're not really here to help me. He's like, look, I can be useful. I know where this place is where you're looking for. What are you looking for? She's like, I'm looking for my daughter. And he's kind of like just brought back by it because he's like, what, you're a robot. And she's like getting on him. He's like, all right. So he tells her Sector 15. She goes, oh, Sector 15. Oh, that's actually a good place. So lo and behold, what it comes to find out is Maeve was taken from her old loop, which she had a daughter, but the daughter stayed behind, and Maeve was brought into Sweetwater to be one of the wenches in there, and her daughter stayed behind. So now Maeve is going to try to go on this mission to go get her daughter. So then she's about to leave and go looking for somebody else. At the same time, right before they're about to go anywhere, some Delos security shows up, and they pull their guns on them. She plays it smooth, starts playing it off, and Lee, right then and there, tries to double-cross her with the security guards, giving them the eye and everything. But right when the security guard's about to try to take out Maeve, lo and behold, some hosts show up, start blasting, becomes this huge shootout. Maeve joins in, ends up killing the security guards, stopping the host from doing anything because she has complete control of the host now and gets him going. And Lee now knows that he's fully gonna be controlled by Maeve because he just tried to double cross her, and he just saved her life by not letting the other host kill him. So that was a great thing. So you're wondering what Maeve is looking for, and lo and behold, what does she find? She's looking for Hector the Killer. Hector has basically run through this entire Delios area and has been killing people left and right. So something that Ford has done and put into the code has made these hosts trigger themselves to think that the humans are now hosts and their guns work on them, and they are one by one systematically killing all humans in this Westworld area. So she connects with Hector. It's a great little moment, and basically she's telling Hector and convincing him that I need you to go help me find my daughter, and they're going to bring Lee along. The best part about this whole thing is the end part, where Maeve ends up becoming the power play over Lee, and she makes him strip down butt naked in front of her and stand there and just completely show that she's in power now, because all the times that she would sit there butt naked in front of Lee while he tinkered and messed with her, now she's in control and got to demean him. I just thought that was a absolute great scene and great ending point just for Maeve, because just kind of shows where she's at and where she's going for. So you got that big part. At the same time, we got the Man in Black timeline. So now we catch up with the Man in Black in this amazing kind of rebirth scene. You go back to the town, it's the night of the incident, and there's dead bodies. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not the night of, it's the morning after, and the bodies everywhere, and there's just bodies everywhere. And out of two bodies, up crawls the Man in Black, like reborn from this death, and he's alive. And he's now trying to figure out what the heck is going on. He's kind of strolling through. He sees his old horse, Ned. He goes over him. He's a little distraught, and so one of these like corporate guys comes over and starts yelling at him, calling him Billy, telling him off, because obviously the secret is out now. William is the Man in Black. The Man in Black is William. William's timeline is from 30 years ago, but William will be back this season, and the Man in Black is William, but in current time. So he gets all crazy with them and starts talking mess, and then he gets shot in the head, and then there's two hosts now coming after the Man in Black. So right here is where we get to see 30 years of being in this park and being a straight G and doing everything that you've done really play out. I feel like this is going to be a true Man in Black season. Like, if we thought he was dope last season, he's going to be even cooler this season, because now there are no rules and he already knows how to play this game. So he comes out and looks badass. He ends up using one of the hosts as a shield, shoots the other one, cuts the throat, and you can just see it, that it's starting to get into his skin and he's feeling it. Then you see that he's actually got a little hut there, and he goes into his hut and he cleans himself up, and boom, opens up the locker. Inside is the hat and his revolver, and he's ready to take it on. So we meet him back up, and he's riding his horse out, and he stumbles across the cuddle area, and then you got some dead some more dead hosts or people. I mean, you can't tell. There are dead hosts and dead people all over the place. You don't know human or not. So he stumbles across them, try to get some water, then ends up getting, some beef jerky or whatever. And out of nowhere, I mean completely out of nowhere, the young Ford robot comes out of nowhere, and he asks, "Are you lost?" And this is where you get a great moment. So the Man in Black turns and goes, "No, I'm not lost." He goes, "Oh, Robert, I think you are." And he goes, "Oh, William, I think you are." And all of a sudden, the young Ford starts speaking in the voice of the old Ford. So the old Ford, before he died, recorded a message in his young robot, knowing he would eventually see the Man in Black. And he basically tells the Man in Black that, "I hope you found what you were looking for. And I'm glad that you completed Arnold's maze." And, Man in Black kind of gives this shrug because he can't believe he completed it and realized it wasn't for him and nothing came out of it. And he goes, "Don't worry. This game is for you." So Ford says, now you're playing my game with real stakes, something you always wanted. So he might have been obsessed in season 1 about finding Arnold's maze, but it really didn't have real stakes. Ford has given him everything he's ever wanted and given him real stakes now, and now he has to go out and fend for himself. And he goes, this game starts as it ends and begins. He starts talking to Riddle, and of course, in classic Man in Black fashion, once the robot walks away, he goes, "Well, I guess I don't need you no more," and just shoots and kills him. So that was great. I love the fact that Ford is still playing the last card and has set up this huge new world and this brand new game to be played where the stakes are real. Woo! Cannot wait to see what happens with the Man in Black. So there you go with that. All right. Then we're going to move over to Dolores and Teddy. Oh My God. That's all I can say, because, wow. We see Dolores. The first time we see Dolores is we see Dolores in that little video where she's killing one of the hosts. The next time we see Dolores, you get this glorious shot of Dolores and Teddy riding out in the open pasture, and one by one they're rifling people down. I mean, they're killing humans. The next thing you cut to is her going full black hat Wyatt. I mean, she finally takes on the personification of Wyatt and ends up talking crazy and just manipulating these corporate people and basically hanging them and letting them there to die, because if they slip, they're going to hang, and if they try to get loose, they're going to hang. She even puts a gun in one of the guy's fake mouth and fake blows it off just for straight humor. I mean, she has gone complete dark side. It is awesome. The next thing you see of them is they're off in the pasture, and you know, Teddy's trying to talk to her like, where are we going? We've been riding for miles and all we've seen is blood, and she's looking for something. And they're having these great moments where they're out in the middle of nowhere, and what happens is we get this old host who ends up being really big, which I'll talk about in a second. She ends up pulling up and saying, we found it, to Teddy and Dolores, and we have no idea what they're talking about, and Dolores tells Teddy, look, I really want you to see this. This means a lot to me. Come with me. And that's kind of the last bit we get of that. So, whoo, there we go with that. All right, let's get to the main big chunk of this. So the main big chunk is the Bernard and Charlotte. So after we meet Bernard on the beach and it's the current time, Bernard kind of grabs his head and starts shaking, and his memories take him back to the night of the incident. So now we're in the night of the incident, and it's inside the park. He's in a barn with Charlotte and a couple other executives, and hosts are killing people one by one. They're having games. They're shooting up the thing. There's hosts shooting up the barn. People are freaking out. They're trying to find an exit point. They ask Bernard where the next outpost is, basically one of those elevators to get him out. He goes, it's a couple miles away. They're like, let's get out of here then. Out of nowhere, a stable boy shows up. And this is what shows you that not all the hosts are affected. This stable boy is still acting normal and is trying to assist him. These people don't care at this point because they're all robots and end up killing him. Bernard tries to get in the way, ends up getting hit. And then you see some white stuff come out of his ear, kind of make something big. And then it goes away. So they start showing him on this path walking, and they're trying to get away. They're walking. It's in the morning, and they're walking in the middle of this ginormous world. And they come apart this buggy, and it looks like some of the workers from Delios are there, and they start running towards it. I mean, they're running towards it full speed because they want to get the heck out of here. But Bernard kind of sees that it's not right and grabs Charlotte and pulls her to the side. Like, let's go, let's hide over here. Lo and behold, it was a trap set up by the host to convince people to think there's a rescue. And out of nowhere, you get a bunch of the hosts show up, and they start one by one taking out the people, and you get the old host who actually started this whole thing, who actually brought William in from the first time. I think her name is Angela. I think that's what her name is. Angela? Yeah, Angela. And she now is a part of this whole Dolores crew. She's the one that tells Dolores, we found it, and she's the one who had waited at the beginning, and now she's a part of this whole host gone crazy crew. So Charlotte and Bernard get away from this whole trap, and she tells Bernard, and Bernard's like, look, we're miles away from that outpost. She goes, there's another one. And this is where the story really takes a twist. We find out that Charlotte actually has an underground area that she's been working in secretly, making her own host. And not just normal host. She actually has a drone host. So they get to the door, and she makes Bernard code her finger so they can get in. And she's got these faceless drones that are helping her out that look like hosts, but they're all white and milky, and they got these weird faces. And that's what she's doing. She's got this, plus she's doing information. She gets to the computer, starts communicating, because she's trying to communicate to the corporate that she needs to get extracted and get the heck out of here. They're telling her, we haven't received the package. You're like, what package? What they're looking for is Peter Abernathy. Remember in season 1, she went and took all the major information that they needed and put it in Abernathy to take it away so that they can get all the research and information for the last 35 years of this park, and they can have it as an insurance policy. Well, they haven't gotten Peter yet. So she asked Bernard to help her locate Peter Abernathy, who is actually Dolores' old father. So Bernard figures out this way where he can use the other host to mimic it, but when he goes to plug in and do the thing, he sees his own self in his computer because he's a host and starts finding out that he's critical and that he's about to go out. He comes up with this quick plan, grabs a syringe with some white stuff and pumps it into his neck. I guess it's like some sort of enzyme that keeps him going. He brings himself conscious and he's able to figure out and locate Peter Abernathy, and they're about to go on their own mission. So that kicks off where it is. So remember, this is all pre-Bernard washing up on the beach. So those are where those timelines are. Then we go back to Bernard and the mercenaries. And they're now entering the town where the whole thing ended. So they're back in the town now, and they're 2 weeks later, and all the bodies are on the ground decomposing. I mean, they smell, there's flies everywhere, there's maggots. They roll all the way up to the front, and this is where I got proven wrong, and Dr. Ford is right there, dead on the thing. He's a human. It was actually Dr. Ford dead. They get there, they see all this stuff, they're lost. Then they get to another thing, and they find an actual life form. But the first life form they find is a Bengal tiger, and they say it's from Park 6. That's 6 parks, people. 6. We'll have to figure that out later. So they see this Bengal, and they're just confused. And then they locate all the hosts in this one area. So they now drive out to this area and stumble across some giant waterbed that came out of nowhere that they didn't know existed. They think Ford built this thing. They have no idea. They didn't know where it came from. They can't believe it. All of a sudden, this huge water looked like an ocean in the middle of the park. They look down, and all of the hosts are in the water dead. All of them. I mean, all of them. There's thousands of hosts in there, and they walk, and they're completely confused. And then you get Carl turns to Bernard at the end and goes, like, you got any idea, like, what's going on? He goes, I killed them. All of them. And it just cuts out. So there you go. What the bleep, Westworld? Like normal. Just throwing us around, multiple timelines, and having fun. All right. Well, there you go, folks. There is episode 1, Journey into Night. Recap review. I'd like to thank you for joining me this week. Please come back again for next week, and we should have more fun on What the Bleep. Until next time, guys. Good night, Ted.